Hey guys, what's up? JK with Porn Reboot here. I remember early in my recovery, one of the things that I struggled with the most, and you might be struggling with this as well, was that feeling of not knowing if you would ever be able to live a life free of pornography, if you would ever be able to live a life where you could control your behavior with masturbation. It's not that you experience that feeling when you slip. Most of us experience that feeling when we are about a week or 2 weeks into our recovery, and those very strong urges come up, or we start going through withdrawal symptoms. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then you go like, wow, it's so strong, it's so overwhelming. Will I ever be able to live my life without this? And that can cause you to get a little down, that can cause you to feel a little depressed. I know what it's like, I've been there before. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you 3 ways to reboot before you've actually rebooted. And what this means is I'm going to show you a few ways that you can build up your self-image so that you can actually see yourself as a man who is living without pornography controlling his life. This is very challenging for some men to do. If you're sitting there watching this and you go like, dude, I have no idea what my life would look like 2 years from now or 1.5 years from now without porn in it, then these 10 steps are going to help you. The first tip is don't let anyone define who you are or place any limiting beliefs on you. The reason why is many of us are trying to end our out of control behavior with pornography. Unfortunately, in other areas of our life, we have allowed society, our family, our loved ones, our friends to place these limiting beliefs on us. So people have told us that, oh, you're not going to look a certain way because of your genetics. You're not going to get a certain job because of this, your education. You're not going to be able to date a certain woman or be in a relationship with a certain woman because of this or because of that. And you have accepted those things. So when you build a habit of accepting limiting beliefs in your life, that is going to translate to other areas of your life, and you cannot let it translate and move over into your recovery from your out of control behavior with pornography and masturbation. The second tip is to change one habit at a time. So the key here is to actually layer your habits. There are a lot of men who try to do these 90-day challenges, and at the same time you want to do sexual transmutation and semen retention, you want to drop body fat and get a six-pack, or you want to get jacked, you want to learn how to be attractive to women, you want to start a new career, you want to be a meditator, you want to be stoic, and then you're surprised when 3 weeks in everything falls apart. Well, you're trying to do too many things at once. Focus on changing 1 or 2 habits at a time. And once you've done that, start stacking them up. In fact, what I tell my clients is that you're going to make more progress in a 3 to 5 year period than most people will make in 20 years if you simply pick 2 or 3 things each year as your priority. So it could be quitting porn and working on your relationship with your wife or your girlfriend. It could be quitting porn and improving your physique, improving your discipline when it comes to your fitness and your health. It could be quitting porn, and you can pick a third thing too. It could be quitting porn, working on your finances, and working on your health, or working on your social skills. And those are the top 3 habits that you're working on building in your life. Everything else, you're only spending 20% of your time doing it, but 80% of your time is spent on working on these things. You're going to make amazing progress. The third way is let go of woulda, coulda, shoulda. And what this means is in other areas of your life, watch out for making excuses. And we're all guilty of this, first of all. I'm guilty of this too. I'm not perfect. However, if in multiple areas of your life you're finding yourself making excuses, so for instance, let's say you've been doing this thing where for years you've been trying to wake up early in the morning, but you can't do it, and you keep giving yourself excuses there, how can you truly expect to have the self-discipline it takes to control one of the strongest sources of energy, one of the strongest forces in nature, which is the human sex drive? How are you going to control that? So you've got to be able to start with the basic things and stop making excuses there. So circling back to the example I gave about waking up early in the morning, it actually starts with what you do the night before. If your goal is to wake up in the morning and to go to the gym early, well, one of the things that's going to help you is number one, going to bed earlier. Number two, laying out the clothes that you're going to wear and head to the gym. And after that, laying out the clothes you're going to wear to work after that. If you have a problem with your alarm clock and snoozing, another thing you could do is place it across the room. So if you keep making excuses for yourself and not doing the things that help you wake up early in the morning, it's going to show up in other areas of your life. So drop shoulda, coulda, woulda. No excuses. The fourth tip is to list out, and you're going to need a journal for the rest of the tips, okay? So if you have a piece of paper, preferably a dedicated journal for your recovery, I suggest you pull it out now. If you don't have that, just pull out your phone and take some notes, or pause the video and take some notes if you're watching this on your phone. So list out 3 of your strengths, and here's what I mean. Sometimes when it comes to our problem with pornography, we have slipped so many times that we feel that we are weak in all areas. Logically, we understand that we do have some strengths, but emotionally, we actually feel like failures. It really helps to write out a few of your strengths. I want you to write out 3 of your strengths. Again, a reminder, this is how you create the self-image of a person who's already recovered when you have slipped so many times or you spent years and years slipping. So what I would like you to do, if you don't know, if you can't think of any strengths, you're like, JK, I don't think I have any strengths, or I feel like the things I have as strengths are not unique. What I'd like you to do is reach out to those people who are closest to you. So send an email or a text to 3 to 4 people, actually make it 4 people who are close to you, who have known you for years. And just tell them this, tell them, hey, I'm doing this little experiment, or I'm going through this program, and I really value your opinion. I'm trying to figure out what my strengths are. So if you don't mind, could you please share with me what you think my strengths are? I know it's a kind of weird request, but I do value your opinion. Very important to tell these people that you value their opinion. So you're not just simply asking for something, you're giving them something, which is you're letting them know, making them feel better about themselves, and letting them feel like they're somebody important in your life, and they should be someone important in your life. Now, when you get the answers back from these 4 people, look across the board. And if there are 1, 2, 3, 4, or even more strengths that repeat themselves, those are most likely your strengths. The reality is you don't recognize them for your strengths, and sometimes you need other people to help you identify them. Write this down in the journal. The 5th tip is to write out some of your wins, W-I-N-S, which should be celebrated. And these are wins related to your reboots, to your recovery from porn addiction. And one of the things with Porn Reboot, one of our values is being a win-focused culture. I believe that men have spent so much time failing, especially when it comes to this part of their life, that when they come into my program, there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no negativity. I don't want to hear about it. Yeah, you can share it, but if you do share it, we want to know what you're going to do about it to move forward in a positive way. So we always focus on your little wins. Now, you may not know what your wins are, but I'll tell you this, they are simpler than you think they are. So it could be that you stayed off porn for 9 days, and that's the longest that you've stayed off pornography in maybe 2 years. Maybe 2 years ago you had this stint where you went 90 days, and since then you've never been able to get back to anything close to it. But just a few months ago, you got to 9 days. That is good. That's okay. That's a win. You need those wins to climb back up. They're all stepping stones. So write out that win. Maybe you have made a new commitment to waking up early. You haven't been perfect and you wanted to wake up early for 6 days out of the week. For 4 days you did that. I want you to focus on the wins. Wins which should be celebrated. Write 3 of them down in your journal. The 6th tip is write out the last time you remember feeling proud of yourself. All right? I don't care whether it was in your childhood or when you were a teenager or whether it was yesterday. Write out 3 times like, hey, when was the last time I felt proud of myself? Or if you don't want to do that, you can also write out the times in your life that on a consistent basis you feel proud of yourself. It could be when you accomplish something in the workplace. It could be you struggle with PIED and it's one of the few times that you actually give your wife or your partner an orgasm. It could be a time when you manage to stay off porn for 30 days. Whatever it is, I want you to write out 3 times where you usually find yourself feeling proud of yourself. Again, what this is doing is that this is building up your self-image. The 7th tip is write out a few of the positive things that people are saying about you right now. Here's the thing. People are saying positive things about you. Your first thing's like, dude, no one's saying anything positive about me. I just don't hear it. The reality is when your life is full of failures and negativity, especially when it comes to porn reboot, I hope you're realizing by now that this addiction really clouds our judgment. It really clouds so many things that are happening outside of us, and we spend a lot of time internally in a very negative, judgmental space. Many of us hate ourselves, many of us experience a lot of self-loathing. So I want you to write out positive things people are saying about you right now. It could be your wife saying like, hey, I'm really glad that you take a day off work and you spend the entire day with me. It could be your partner saying that, hey, you know what? I know you're this kind of guy, you have these negative traits, but I'm so happy that you are committed, or that you take care of me, or that you're generous, whatever the case may be. It may be something your parents say, like, listen, I thought you were gonna be a complete screw up when you when you grew up, but I'm so proud of you and where you've come and how far you've come. It could be something a friend said, and it does not have to be something that was said recently. Maybe you've just been so busy, or you've been isolated because of your addiction or whatever issue you're struggling with. Go back, all the way back. Maybe it's back to high school or middle school. What were the things, the positive things that people said about you? I want you to go back, because that is still a part of who you are. Whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, doesn't matter. The 8th tip is write out how you have coped or you have managed with the big challenges in your life so far. And here's what I mean. All of us go through challenges, all sorts of challenges. The reality is some of us might have broken under some of the challenges, and some of us may have become stronger from those challenges. The reality is that if you're here and you're watching this video, chances are you've overcome quite a few challenges in your life. So I want you to go back to some of the biggest challenges and write in detail how you dealt with them. How did you handle these? Now, one thing I'm going to mention, because a lot of guys who struggle with porn do this thing, and I think it's a prefrontal cortex issue, they just list things out. Like they'll just be like, the time when blah, blah, blah. One line or one very short line. And that's because it takes a lot of effort for you at this point in your addiction, wherever you are, unless you have some experience journaling already. But if you don't, you may find it challenging to kind of go back into the past and write this out in detail. I just want to emphasize that it is important for you to do these exercises in as much detail as possible. Go back to a challenge that you faced in your life and write out how you handled it. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. The 9th tip is write out what you want from your life. What is your purpose for being here? What is your vision? What is your mission? It could be simple things. It could be happiness. It could be a happy relationship. It could be a family. It could be giving back to others. It could be becoming famous. It could be becoming wealthy. It doesn't matter, I don't think anybody should judge anybody's ambitions. You're doing this for yourself, so write it out for yourself. What are the things that you want out of life? Now, this might be challenging for you. It's also very common if you're struggling with an out-of-control sexual behavior to not really have a clear vision of the future, because you only see this obstacle in your way. So here's something else that can help you, and it's called the obituary or the tombstone test. And all you gotta do is write out your obituary as it will be seen online 60 years from now, 70 years from now, whenever. What do you want people to have said about you? What do you want people to say about you? What type of man was he? And go crazy with it. It might seem a little bit ridiculous, but honestly, ridiculous, crazy, amazing things can happen in the next year, in the next decade, in the next 5-6 decades. Who knows? So I want you to do that. You can alternatively do what's called a tombstone test and write out what is going to be written on your tombstone when you pass away. When people come to visit you and drop flowers and they look down at your tombstone, what are the things they say to each other? They're like, remember when he did this? Oh man, I miss him because he did this. All right, does that make sense? So this is something that can help you by working backwards. The 10th tip is to verbalize a challenge that you have overcome. So 2 tips ago, I talked about writing out the challenges that you'd faced and you'd successfully overcome. Just pick a few. In this case, I want you to talk about one. It is so powerful when you can verbalize it, whether it's picking up the phone and talking to a friend about it, whether it is recording an audio or it is speaking in front of a video, it doesn't matter. It's very powerful to actually say it, because when you say it, you remember it better. And sometimes just the mere fact that you're saying it makes you realize the power of words. Your entire state changes because you opened your mouth and you verbalized how you overcame a challenge in the past. So this is very important. In fact, one of the ways that you can do this, if you're like, JK, I'd like to share it with somebody, but that seems silly if I just do this for myself, that feels weird. I suggest that you join our free private Facebook group. There's a link to it in the description below. And if you're not comfortable showing your face, you can go ahead and record an audio of the challenge that you're facing and put it up there. Our moderators will review it real quick and then post it publicly for everyone else. Or you can shoot a video if you're comfortable with that. It's a private group, everyone there is struggling with the same problem, and we do screen everybody who gets into the group. So that's a great way to kind of share this challenge with other men who have watched this video, and also other men who are trying to transform their lives and end their out of control behavior with porn and masturbation. So there you have it, 10 ways to reboot before you actually begin. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, don't forget to subscribe, and when you do, ding that little bell so that you get updates anytime I release a video. If you'd like to learn more about my system, if you're curious, JK, what's this porn reboot system? There are a ton of options. We have a lot of free resources that you can use. The first one is my free ebook, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men, and you can find that in the description below. You can also join our free course, 20 Ways to Quit Pornography. That's in the description below as well. And of course, the Facebook group, which I mentioned, is an amazing place to be. I respond to a lot of questions via video, and you're gonna find a lot of like-minded men. You can also get yourself an accountability partner there. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you later in the week.